Hello, it is Helen Martin here for today's edition of the Daily Dose of Awesome. So there are huge changes happening in Facebook at the moment. Do you know what those changes are? Are you at the forefront of those changes? Because if you're not, you may get left behind. So that's what we're going to talk about today on today's edition of the Daily Dose of Awesome. What is going on in Facebook land? What are the changes that are happening right now? And what should you be aware of to take advantage of those changes for you, building your profile online, helping create curiosity and intrigue, and growing your business through Facebook. So that's what we're going to dive in today for today's edition of the Daily Dose of Awesome, your 15 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education to get your day started right. If we have not met before, my name is Helen Martin. I am coming to you live from Australia for today's edition. It's always a pleasure to be here for this training. So as you are coming on, hello Chuck, how are you? Please say hello. Tell me where you're coming in from. Hello Debbie, how are you? Hello Helen, hello Dave. So as you're coming in, please say hello. If you are catching the replay later, please put the word replay down below so I can say hello to you after. Hello Craig, hello Ford, how are you? Awesome to see you all jumping on. So what's going on with Facebook? This is quite separate from what happened yesterday. At the timing of this video, we just had a massive blackout on Facebook yesterday. I don't know whether you were caught up in that. I certainly was. I couldn't post, I couldn't go live, I couldn't do anything, and there were many people around the world that were caught up in that. Hopefully we're all back to normal now. What I'm talking about today has nothing to do with that. We hope it's got nothing to do with that, but I want to make you aware of a little tool that Facebook has. You may be embracing it, you may be playing around with it, you may not even be using it. So I'd like to share with you what that is, what changes are happening at the moment, so you can embrace it now and take advantage of it. Does that sound good? Oh yeah, Debbie, you were affected by that as well. So for 12 hours, Jamie's, sorry if I pronounced your name correctly, couldn't get on. So yeah, there were a lot of people around the world, that were affected by that. But what I'm talking about and what I want to make you aware of today and share some tips with you as well in how to utilize it is Facebook stories. So hear me out, because there's a lot of things happening in Facebook stories that you may not be aware of. There's a lot of things coming in relation to Facebook stories that you may not be aware of. But if you want to be at the forefront of what's happening in Facebook and in the news feed, you want to listen to this information and you want to start playing around. Hey Jeffrey, hey Tim, how you going? Lovely to see you jump on. So Facebook stories, I'm not talking about writing a story on Facebook. I'm talking about using the feature called Facebook stories, which you can use from your personal Facebook page, and you can also use from business pages. So what I'm here to share with you is if you are not embracing Facebook stories on either of your personal profile or your business page, you are missing out. There were big changes made on March the 1st, which are giving people an advantage to gain interaction, engagement, exposure, and connections through Facebook stories. And the reason I share this with you and why it's so important for you is that in time to come, Facebook will not look like Facebook looks today. The news feed will not look like it looks today. Your Facebook news feed and Facebook stories are two separate, what would you call them? Two separate feeds, for lack of a better word. Two totally separate algorithms. It should be different content that you're sharing to those areas, but the prediction is by as short a time frame as April. So, well, Easter is that more people are going to be looking at Facebook stories than they are going to be in the news feed. And in future months, who knows when, the news feed of Facebook will look like Facebook stories. It won't look like the news feed that you are used to today. So in time to come, we're going to be talking about the news feed in Facebook that we know today as, like, who of you remember MySpace? So we talk about showing your age when we talk about MySpace and people that embraced MySpace. So in time to come, people are going to be talking about the news feed like we talk about MySpace now. So Facebook Stories is going to become the new news feed in Facebook. So if you are not aware of Facebook Stories, if you are not using Facebook Stories, I would highly encourage Craig, MySpace from a long time ago. If you don't know what that is, I'm showing my age here. Some of you know what MySpace is. So if you're not embracing it, you're missing out, because there are so many cool things coming with Facebook Stories. You can blend your business on your stories, on your personal Facebook page. There are features that are coming for Facebook Stories that are going to enable to incorporate your business in a way that's curious and creating intrigue, like the way that we want to, using attraction marketing strategies rather than pushing your business on people. So for you to get all the new features that are coming with Facebook Stories, you need to be using Facebook Stories to get them. They're not going to give you all the new features for Facebook Stories if you're not using Facebook Stories. There's a brand new one coming out it's already on our personal pages, and it's called Stories Highlights. Do you even know what that is? Have you even seen it? You should be using it now, and that's where it gives you the ability to create albums on your personal Facebook page now. So Facebook Stories are gone in 24 hours. So some of you might be sitting there and going, I don't really get it, because it's gone within 24 hours. You can save every Facebook story that you do, and they're already archived anyway, and you can pull all those Facebook stories into an album for family, an album for business, an album for your passions, an album for whatever you want, and they're front and center on your personal Facebook page. Now, if you're using Facebook Stories, you're going to get the same feature on your business page. I don't have it yet. Some people do. I don't yet. But if you're not using Facebook Stories, you're not going to get the Stories Highlights album feature on your business page. So I'm here to encourage you to embrace Facebook Stories because of all the new things that are coming out. The changes that were made on March 1st to increase your engagement and connection and interaction with Facebook Stories, because this is where we're going. So I don't know if you've noticed subtle changes regarding your Facebook newsfeed, but access to Facebook Stories used to be a little circle with a plus sign. Now it's a very big square, is it not, in your newsfeed? When you go to your newsfeed of Facebook, there's this big square at the top with your profile picture on it and a big cross on it that says add to story. Take notice. There's a very good reason for why it went from a little circle to a huge square. They want you to use Facebook Stories. There's also a very good reason why top left when you're actually in your profile, top left, add to story is in blue. All the other things next to it are in black. Why do you think that is? What's the purpose for that? They're saying, use me, use stories. So there's little clues being left in front of you with Facebook Stories. So it would be a really good idea just to play around. You don't need to go and access detailed training about Facebook Stories. Just get in there and start using them. And I'm going to give you a tip. There's so much I could share with you regarding Facebook Stories, but we're only here for a short amount of time. So I've brainstormed some tips, which I'll give you sort of in a moment. But what I also want to highlight is the advantage for stories on business pages. So what's really interesting is they're favouring the reach of stories on business pages. Now, a lot of people don't realize they're even there. And the beautiful thing about the engagement is off business pages. So I did 2 posts, pretty much similar, slightly different, on my personal Facebook page stories and my business Facebook page stories last night. And I've got almost double the amount of people that have looked at my Facebook story from my business page. That is not normally what we see with business pages. We're usually always complaining about how less the reach is on a business page to a personal page. Not so with stories. So I would highly encourage you to use stories on your business pages because of all the changes that are being made at the moment and the opportunity that you have to get increased reach and engagement and interaction from stories on a business page. So if you're sitting there wondering, what should I post in Facebook stories? You can learn more about stories as you get more familiar with it, but just start using it. Anything that starts with an F is a good idea. So anything that's fun, family, friends, fitness, food, all those kind of general type of topics, just start there and start playing around with buttons, learn how to add graphics, add a GIF, add some music. Those of you in Canada and the UK, you don't have a lot of the music features from Facebook stories because they're still trying to work out legalities with sort of music features. I won't go into all of that kind of stuff, but some of you will have a lot of features. Some of you will have very minimal features. Those of you with an Android, phone and capabilities, you are going to have, but you're going to have less features than those with iPhones. Those with iPhones, you're probably going to have a lot more features quicker than those of you with an Android, okay? It's just the way it is. Depending on what type of phone, you'll have some things, but you won't have others. So if you've got an old, ancient phone, and you want to keep up with social media, maybe it's time to upgrade your phone. So some of you will have features that are newer, exciting and interactive, and some of you won't. So it will roll out to different people, but I guess I'm here to share with you, embrace stories and start using them. So when they roll out new features, they're going to roll them out to people that are actually using the feature. Chuck, can you click on both post and stories? So do you mean share to both? Let me just give you a little quick sort of snapshot of the intention of stories. The intention of stories is that it's not the same content. So when you post something and you get the little option that says post to stories and post to newsfeed, it's not the intention of stories to have exactly the same content in both. Respect the platform of Facebook stories. It's a completely different newsfeed and it's looking for different content. Yes, Chuck, so I hope that answers your question. So it is much better if it's different content. It's much better if you post at different times. So if you post on your newsfeed, post something native to stories at a different time. So if you're out and about, maybe post something to your newsfeed, but then a little bit later, post a different picture, photograph, native to stories. When I say native to stories, go into the feature of Facebook stories and take a picture. So the intent of Facebook stories is that an image, a still image, is 5 seconds. And video is only 20 seconds. This is what Facebook stories is. It's micro content, it's micro fast content. That's the future of the newsfeed of Facebook, micro short content. That's what they're looking for. And it is a separate newsfeed to your normal newsfeed that you are looking at sort of now. So different content, different times. It doesn't mean you can't post something to both your newsfeed and stories at the same time. But when you do that, you're not really respecting the platform as it is intended to be. It's intended to be different content, and it is better to do 20-second videos than it is to do a still. So if you look at an image for 5 seconds, it's actually quite a long time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's quite a long time to look at just one image or a selfie or something like that. And the last thing you want people to do in Facebook stories is tap forward. So when they tap the little button there, they're tapping forward, which means it's telling the algorithm, I don't want to look at this anymore. I want to fast forward. So we don't want that. We want to keep people engaged. So doing little short videos, they don't have to be 20 seconds. They could be a 5-second video. But that's better content than just just a still photo that sits there for sort of 5 seconds. I hope that explains a little bit more, sort of, Chuck. So I could talk about this for so long, but I want to give you some really quick tips. So take notice. Hello, Katrin, how are you? So here's some really quick tips. How am I going for time? Oh, I need to speed it up, okay? So you want at least one Facebook story in the news feed of Facebook stories in a 24-hour period. Yes, they disappear, but yes, you can save them. Yes, they're archived. You can bring them into albums in newsfeed. I'm sorry if I'm talking fast and this is confusing some of you. I'm just trying to give you as much information as I can in a short amount of time. So the reason why you want at least one story in a 24-hour period is so that when you look at your Facebook profile, it's a big circle. When you've got an active story, there is a blue ring around your Facebook profile. You always want that blue ring to be there. So when you've got an active story, you'll have the blue ring there. So at least one. But Facebook stories is for multiple fast content. If you want to do 10 Facebook stories a day, do it. If you want to do 10 posts on your news feed in Facebook, don't do it. You'll kill your algorithm. You really don't want to be posting any more than 4 times in your news feed in any one 24-hour period, because your posts are competing with your own posts. News feed of Facebook stories, go for it. Post as many times as you like on Facebook stories. So I've already mentioned, Chuck actually asked before, the intention is not to post the same content on your timeline as it is stories. The intention also is not to post it exactly the same time. So post it at different times. I've already mentioned that. Don't use hashtags. It's not recommended to use hashtags in Facebook stories because people have the, what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to want to tap on the screen perhaps for a hashtag, which is only going to fast forward the content. So we don't want to use hashtags in Facebook stories. Take lots of behind the scenes stuff. People are curious. They love to know what's happening behind the scenes. So if you're say you're on a computer now, watching me live, learning about Facebook stories, get on your mobile phone, take a selfie, say I love learning about new features on Facebook, and post it to your stories. Quick, micro, fast content about what you're up to. People love it. What else do I have here? Make sure your stories are public. So when you're in Facebook stories, there's a little wheel looking thing up the top right hand corner. If you press on that wheel, it'll bring up some options. Your Facebook stories will automatically default to friends only unless you change it to public. So when you're in Facebook stories, click on the little wheel at the top right, what looks like a wheel, and change your stories to public to increase your reach. Okay? What other tips did I have? A few more. The beautiful thing about stories is that you can actually see who's looking at your content. It actually shows you, and the responses to Facebook stories go directly into your messenger. This is huge. Directly into your messenger. So when somebody reacts in the news feed, it just sort of sits there on that post. But when somebody reacts to a Facebook story, it goes straight into your messenger. When we first got Facebook stories on business pages, nobody could interact with them, but now they can. So start using stories on business pages because it can go straight to your messenger. It's a beautiful thing. There's so many exciting things coming. I don't know, is this new information to you guys? Is this valuable? Are you learning something about Facebook stories? If you never knew, put never knew down below, or if you're up with it, let me know, up with it. I'd be interested to know whether this is new information for you or not. Yeah, the other thing is that albums are coming. So Facebook stories highlights, which can also be referred to albums, is also coming on business pages. I don't have it yet, but it's coming. But you need to be using Facebook stories now to get all the new features when they roll out. You also want to be using Facebook stories now to take advantage of what's coming before Easter. So their prediction is that people will be looking at Facebook stories more than the Facebook newsfeed by Easter. That's a huge prediction. And in time to come, as I said, the newsfeed of Facebook, as you know it today, will not look the same. The Facebook stories is going to be the new news feed of Facebook in time to come. Whether that's 6 months, a year, who knows? But this is where we're headed. So huge changes happening on Facebook. Give yourself the advantage to be in the forefront of these kind of things. As I said, Facebook is leaving you clues. We went from a very small circle to a very big square at the top of your news feed. Have you ever pressed that square? If not, now it is time. Just go and play. The best way you can embrace Facebook stories is just go and play. Play with the features, play with the GIFs, play with the stickers, play with the wording, but just caution, a still image only lasts 5 seconds. So if somebody can't read what's on your image, if you're layering too much, you've got too much text, you're not respecting the platform of Facebook stories. So don't put too much text on there. If you're playing around and you're getting all excited, you don't want to put too many words on that because people won't have enough time to read it. Okay, so I hope that was valuable information for you today on Facebook stories. Go ahead, go and play. It's always a privilege to be here with you in this Elite Marketing Pro community. I did say, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Helen Martin. I am a mentor here within this Elite Marketing Pro community, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you for this edition of Daily Dose of Awesome, and I look forward to seeing you on my next edition of the Daily Dose of Awesome. I hope you found that valuable. Catch you next time. Bye.